Hey everyone, I'm Wes Seago, and this is Application Deployment 1, Term 1404, Week 3 discussion. In this video, I'm going to demo my app for you. We're going to do that both places. I'm going to have to do it on the simulator so that I can show you how the save data function works. And then we'll also do it on my phone, and I'll airplay it into this video onto my screen so that you can see it, so that we'll look at the geolocation portions of it. So go ahead and get it started. Again, my application was Lunar Observer. Right here I've got this title splash screen on a 3-second delay, which is absolutely against the HIG, but it's a requirement for this project, so I put a 3-second delay in there so that you can see it, because it really just runs through it too fast. But this is the application. Once it starts up, it's in a 3-tab controller, tab bar controller with 3 tabs. The first tab is the table view, which looks totally hideous right now because I haven't done any color or design work on it, but there it is, and that is actually sitting inside of or embedded in a navigation controller, so there's a lot of controllers going on through there. The second tab is a moon phase. Of course, I have it. I'm going to hit don't allow so that you can see my message. But I'll hit don't allow here for now. This is where it's going to go out and geolocate, and it's going to take that information. It's going to display it right here in this view controller, as well as sending it out to an API to get the age of the moon, the phase of the moon, and the illumination percentage based on where on Earth you're located. And of course, in my About tab, this is where I load up my information in that HTML page to explain the app and what the observation program is all about. So of course, in here you go inside, and these are the individual items. This isn't complete. Of course, that big no right there is not going to be there. That's just something I'm using right now for development purposes. But I'm going to go out and take a look and show you about the data portions of it. Haven't actually finished some of that, so but we'll get into it. And if I look right down here, it's given me I have it logged out. This is 9C, 8C, blah, 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 right there. So go back and we'll see that in my 7.1 64-bit, it's 9C, 8C. If you look in the documents folder, there's nothing there. Well, one of the things that I did was I set it up. Not only is it going to save the data at certain times, basically whenever you make a change to the data in the application, it will automatically save. But I also put a couple of listeners up, and I'll show you that functionality real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I've never saved the data so far in this iteration, so I'm just going to shut the iPad simulator or the iPhone simulator off. You'll see, bam, created that Lunar Observer plist file, which is, that's basically where all of the data for this file is stored. So with that, go ahead and actually fire this up on my phone so that you can actually see that I do have that portion of it working as far as the geolocation, as well as the API call. So, and of course I keep my phone locked. Let's see. And we will go ahead and put it up on the phone. Same thing, starts up. One thing that, well, we're still running in the simulator. Sorry. Let's see. There we go. One thing that I did notice, I was really intent on putting that HTML in there, and I did, and it's there. But as far as not mirroring, as far as it's not the most robust thing all the time, and usually, like right there, it gives you a good idea. Seems like the very first time you start that up, it seems to be a little bit slow, but then, and you know, I was thinking that it could possibly be because I had it in view did load instead of in view will appear, so I changed it. I put it in view will appear, and it didn't seem to make much difference. So anyway, the the way I chose to do my data, I'm actually not finished because I did make a change today, but this is much, much, much more responsive than when I actually did my program for, what was that, the last class where we made the one with the movie theater. So I did have a lot of views in that application, but this one just seems to be really, really a lot more robust in the way the tables work, and so which is a good thing. So we'll go ahead and hit the moon phase, and you'll notice down here we're actually getting that. I'm logging all of that information out, and it's not a lot of information, and that's basically just because of the way the person would use this application. I wanted to make sure that it was quick and easy for them to get that. But basically, every time you hit that tab, you're going to get that information. So, and there's a reason for that I'll go into, and maybe when we have more time. So I'm going to go ahead and shut that down, and then I'll go through my code just a little bit and let you see some of the things that were a little bit different. So I did try to do a lot of things a little bit different in this application. So as far as my milestone 2 things, you can see there the geolocation is working, the API call is going out. I do have that first run logic there. That was in place last week, but it doesn't, you could see there that even though there was no file, it did load the data. So I created my custom cells this week for my table view, and I also created my custom headers. Now, the last thing that I had on my list for milestone 2 was the to save the data, and I'm still not done with it. I mean, it was less of a penalty just to turn it in without that working than it would be to turn it in late. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it in. But once again, I did make a change at the very final hour, or not really at the final hour. I mean, I actually wrote this thing like 5 different ways to see which way was the best way, and I settled on one. And we're going to go through that right now. I'll go through the whole thing, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about that. But a couple of things that I'll show you that I did a little bit different, that things that I haven't worked with before. And this one, in my view did load, I actually set up a couple of listeners right here through the NS Notification Center. And one of those is listening for application did enter background. If it gets that notification, it's going to save the data. And also application will terminate notification. So if for whatever reason, if another application starts hogging up memory and it needs to shut it down, it will save the data so that the person won't lose their data. Let's see, in my going to that about view, that was the very first, the first thing I showed, it's the last tab. With that, we just talked about that a little bit. I moved it over from view did load. I set up a view will appear, and of course I set up the HTML file, and then I just add it to the view. But moving that to the view will appear didn't really make it any faster. And it's only that first time when you first install the program, whether it's on the simulator or on a real device. The very first time you click it, there's like a 1.5 second delay, which really just shocks me because, it's a small, tiny little file. So, but nonetheless, it is something that I noticed. So go ahead and include that. Going over to my moon phase view controller, talk to you a little bit about that. Same thing, I put everything in the view will appear method. This was a design change. Originally, I was going to have it go out and do all of this whenever the application started up, and then there's a reason that I changed it. I don't want to make this video really, really too long, but the way a person would use this application, they may check that several times in a day, but it's not something that's going to be constantly done, and you're certainly not going to restart the application every time. So what I decided was when I set up for it to run the location manager and start updating the location, I only want that to happen for a really, really brief period. So in that second tab, that tab view controller, and the view will appear. I set up the location manager, I start updating the location, and then I immediately go out, I grab that current latitude and longitude, put those in some labels, just convert them to text, and truncate them down to 3 decimal places, because of course it'll come back, however you want it to. But and then once I've done that, I just shut down the locating, and then I call the API. So and that just makes so much more sense. It works a lot better. It's definitely the way this app will need to go. So also, there was one other thing I wanted to show you. My alert message is down here at the bottom, and I guess the easiest way to quickly show you that is if I don't give the application permission, and I don't think I gave it permission on this simulator. Yeah, there it is. So in this case, it's not actually failing. It's failing, but it's failing because I didn't give it permission. So it's firing my alert down here to basically say that, hey, sorry, you're not going to get that information. So that's it. I hope everyone had a great week, and enjoy your week off.